All right, everyone, are you ready for one of my most famous blind dates that I had? People love hearing this story. And this is why so get ready. This is a little longer one. So if you catch this and you're only seeing part of it, always go to my YouTube channel. The whole thing will be on the YouTube channel. So this is why I am very adamant to this day. Do not set up your friends on a blind date. I'm telling you, no, blind dates are not fun. And guess what? Your friends and your family and your acquaintances do not know you as well as they think they do. Let's just say that. So I was set up on this blind date, and this person is like, I know this guy. I go to school with him. You will absolutely get along with him. Do you know who Brendan Fraser is? And I'm like, yeah, I know who Brendan Fraser is. He is like a spitting image of him. He even has like his personality. Now you got to remember, he's an actor. So what is his personality, right? So, oh boy. So I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking I am looking forward to this guy who kind of looks like Brendan Fraser. Oh, and by the way, he was going to school to become a pastor. Okay, so I'm a worship director, pastor. You would think that might go well together. So we decide to meet at a restaurant. And I get there, and I'm looking for this guy that looks like Brendan Fraser. And so I find him, and he looks more like, almost to the T, not his face, but everything else. He was Mr. Rogers. He was Mr. Rogers. The sweater, the tie, he was Mr. Rogers, but my age. A little cuter than Mr. Rogers, but Mr. Rogers. And so I'm like, okay, how well is this date gonna go? I mean, if this person got his looks wrong from the get-go. So, I'm like, no big deal. So we get along on our date. We're getting ready to order, and we're just talking away, just getting to know each other. And through our talking, we kind of started bantering a little bit because of me being a single lady in ministry. And he definitely had his view that is not a thing, that women in leadership is not a thing in his eyes. And so I'm like, what in the world did I get myself into? And so we're just doing this bantering back and forth. Now, the waiter is this young, very good-looking guy. And my date at the time had to go to the restroom. So he went to the restroom, and I'm sitting there, and the waiter comes running up, and he's like, so how's it going? And I just kind of smile and go, it's going. And he's like, first date? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, I hope I'm not overstepping, but you're beautiful, and I could tell we could probably get along. And I'm like, oh gosh. I'm like, well, I'm very flattered, but you're also very young compared to me. And interesting part, just through our little conversation, he was a musician. So I'm like, oh boy, So he walked away, and my date came back. And as we're talking, the waiter keeps coming back. And he's not really doing anything wrong, but my date picks up on that he's hitting on me. And he's like, hey, dude, you know that we are on a date here. That's pretty rude. And it kind of is. But I'm like, yeah, but I'm not enjoying your company. Like, what? I'm not enjoying your company. And so this date just kept going on, and I wanted to end it. Oh, and to top it off, he has to tell me that these people that set us up on this date paid for it. So he didn't even pay for this date. And I was like, okay, really? And so as we are leaving, the waiter is like, hey, and he tried to give me his phone number. I don't even remember if I grabbed his phone number because I wasn't interested, partially because he was definitely younger than me. And I mean, way younger than me. So then we walk out to the car, and our cars are pretty close to each other. And not that, okay, this is going to sound terrible. He was driving a purple PT Cruiser. A purple PT Cruiser, not deep purple, this very feminine color PT Cruiser. I just couldn't. I'm like, and then he's like, so, this was pretty fun. Maybe we should go out again. And I'm like, yeah, we'll see. We'll talk later. I never saw this guy again. Fighting about women in leadership and how church functions. And then the server sees that we're not getting along well. And it was very obvious that we were not a good match. So because of this date, I definitely tell people, don't set your friends up. If anything, just get them to meet and they will do their thing. If they like each other, they will exchange numbers. If they like each other, they will figure it out. They might even ask you, hey, I was interested in so-so. Can I get their number? I mean, things like that. Make moments for your friends, your acquaintances, whatever, to meet with no agenda. And trust me, it'll work out way better. Yeah.